Easy now, people. Welcome aboard to the Happy Shit Gunner Talk. It's your boy Si, aka the Mancunian. Let's do this. It's been a pretty busy week, stuff that's going on around Arsenal and just shit that's going on in my own life. Some of you guys know I've got a lot on my plate at the minute. Sort of constantly travelling between Manchester, the Lake District and Newcastle. It's sort of like a 6-hour spin. And I'm doing that, daily, up and down at the minute. It's killing me, I'm not going to lie, but, you have to do these things sometimes, so I'm not going to whinge about it. You just got to suck it up and carry on, as I ask you guys to do on a regular basis with us, so that's what we're going to have to do, innit? I'm going to sort of split this up. Obviously, it's been a few days again since I did my last one, so pre-season's over now, and we're now just on the roll to Sunday, to the opening game of the season, so I'm going to sort of do this one just looking over the Barca game, just player ratings and stuff. Then I'll do another one which is all the up-to-date stuff around the club. I'll try and get that out for tomorrow night. I've just obviously then I'm in the Lakes at the minute. I've got to go back up to Newcastle Hospital tomorrow. So I'll try and get that one done tomorrow night, and I'll do another one about just a preview into the Premier League season, have a look at what's gone on pre-season and talk it all over. I was going to try and do that one with the recap of yesterday's game, but it'll just go on for too long. I'm going to try and keep these fairly short and sweet. So keep your eye out for those, because I'll be blasting a few videos out for the next few days. And guys, I don't know how many times I have to say, I want to get to 1,500 followers on Twitter and 75 subscribers before the season starts. Now I've got a week. You guys, I've got a week. I'm about 10 subscribers short and about 40 followers. You guys can help me get those. Come on. I know it's a really pathetic little target I've set myself, but it's even more pathetic that I'm not capable of reaching it, which is sort of sending me into spiraling depression before the season starts. And I'd rather, if anything's going to send me into spiraling depression, let it be Arsenal. But they're not at the moment. So come on guys, keep me happy please. So yeah, we played Barca last night. I did manage to watch the game. Luckily I managed to get sat down for a couple of hours and get it watched in between driving. Line-up. Guys, I'm turning into that I told you so man. But the last friendly, and I put up a line-up and I said this is roughly what he'll start the season with, and a lot of you hammered me and went, are you mad mate? We've got Ceballos, we've got Pepe, we've got Torreira, we've got these guys. I'm basing it on what Unai will do, not what I would do, and not what I would like to see, or what I think is our best 11. We're not going to be able to play our best 11. I've seen people putting in a centre back that we don't have yet, a left back we don't have yet, or we might not get both of those positions. Ceballos straight in there, Torreira straight in there, Pep straight in there. They're not going to play straight away. I've come to terms with that fact, and I think some of you guys need to as well, because you're not going to like what you see. I think some of you are in for a massive shock, because although we've made some good signings, and I do think they'll play a part, I think you're going to have to wait a good few weeks. I don't really see any of them playing a massive part over the first few weeks of the season. I think he'll go with what he knows and trust what he knows rather than the unknown. Especially with the games we've got coming up. It's going to be interesting, because I could be totally wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be. It's not a lineup I want to see, and it's not one that makes me, particularly fills me with joy looking at all the players we've got in total in the squad. But it's something, again, we're just going to have to suck up for the first month of the season, I think, minimum, and just take it on the chin and realise that these players have come in and we are progressing. It just won't happen as instant as you want it. But if for me, I said this season was a bit of a write-off, and I'm still in that same boat. I want top 4 and I want Champions League again, and I do believe we should be achieving it this year. But if for the first 2 months of the season it's the same lineup as last year, if not maybe a tad weaker, you can't really expect better results, can you? So I'm just trying to be level-headed about it all at the moment, although I am crazy excited about a few things. So the lineup yesterday, again, he went with pretty much what I think roughly he will start the season with, which was Leno in net, Ainsley at right back, Chambers and Socrates at centre back pairing, Monreal at left back, Willock and Xhaka at the base of midfield, Mesut just in front, and then the only omission I would have is I don't think he'll pick Nelson. I think he'll play Ober out on the left for the first game of the season, Laka down the middle, and Mickey on the right, but obviously due to the little lack of injury and, you know, not wanting to risk him, he missed out last night. So Nelson played off the left, Oba down the middle, and Mickey off the right. First half, let's just get straight into that. The first half, some really impressive performances, I thought. Some of these pre-season friendlies have scared me a bit because I thought we might get blown away. You know, not knowing what sort of business we would do or not. And at the time when these, you know, fixtures were announced, we didn't have anything, and it was a case of looking and going, well, if we go at these with what we got now, this could be a real dangerous game we're playing in pre-season. But you know, we've come through fairly unscathed, and I know we've lost a couple of games, but there's plenty to take out of them. Whereas last season, I think I'd have been pretty down in the dumps, and you know, that silly meme, oh shit, here we go again, you know. But it feels different this year. I don't know if all you guys feel the same, but to me it feels totally different. You know, we've got these young kids now, we've got a couple of signings that have come in. You know, there are reasons to be excited, whereas last year I think they were pretty limited, and it always felt like it was going to go a bit downhill. But you know, Ainsley for me, he was 10 out of 10 in that first half. He didn't put, well, I think he got caught under the ball in the first 10 minutes, and then that seemed to just spark him into life. And after that, I thought he was absolutely fabulous. I really did. Him, Chambers, Socrates, Ober and Leno for me, first half all looked really good. And you know, well, you can say there was chance of Barca in the first half, but you know, it's Barcelona. They're gonna create chances no matter what. They are gonna come up with, you know, a fistful of chances. Even if you're the world's best defensive side, they will still carve out a few chances. So I think we did pretty well to just not have that be chasing the ball all game and be under the cosh constantly. So I was impressed rather than disappointed, you know, on the base of the result. So let's look into these guys that started. Usual stuff, rating out of 10. Leno, he looked solid for me. You know, he made a few good saves. You know, you could probably offset that with the own goal, which was crushing. I'll get onto that in a minute. But it was just a little lacking communication. I don't really want to blame anybody, to be honest. So I'm not. I'm just going to call it that. You know, it's just one of those unfortunate things that happens. That, you know, rarely, but it does happen. And apart from that, you know, he's going to be our number one. He looked solid again. He'd get a 6 out of 10. It'd have been a 7 if he'd have had a bit more to do. But you know, he was a passenger for a lot of the game, spectator. So I can't rate him too highly. Ainsley, my boy Ainsley. I was so delighted at that first half. And then, you know, it got into the second half, and then it's just the same things that, you know, some of you guys don't rate him for, which is that, you know, he's not a right back. And he switches off, you know, and when he does switch off, it tends to be costly, as it is for any sort of goalkeeper or defender. You know, you are at the back, and that's where I think, you know, look at the stuff he was doing good. You know, because for me in that first half, he was sort of doing his and Mickey's job. You know, when I was looking, and I laughed at my mate who was watching it with, and I went, why don't we just play Mickey at right back? Because he'd probably be of the same level as Ainsley, but he wouldn't give as much as Ainsley going forward. You know, in the defensive third, under loads of pressure, just little calm, shifting the ball foot to foot and sneaking the pass out there. And you know, and then in their final third, he was, you know, beating the man and whipping balls. I thought it was a really awesome performance from him the first half. You know, and like I say, just completely ruined for a lot of people. You know, I'm a big fan and I've got a lot of faith in him. I know a lot of you guys don't. So I'm sure, you know, when that own goal happened, a lot of you went, yeah, fucking told you he was shit. Told you this, told you that. Guys, I've been telling you as well, he's not a right back. You know, and I'm not going to hammer him for it, because while he keeps playing there, if he makes them mistakes playing him in the centre of midfield and he's constantly losing the ball or getting mugged, you know, and we're getting counter-attacked and losing goals, I'd hammer him. But he's not a right back, so I'm not going to hammer him as a right back. I'm going to comment it on as a centre midfield, playing at right back, and like I say to you guys, playing of our other, you know, whether you see him as a centre mid, a box to box, a winger, whatever it is, play one of our other ones at right back and see if they're any better than Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I'm not going to keep talking about it. That's where I stand, and I'll fight till I'm blue over the face over it. But yeah, he just seemed to lose a little bit. He sort of got mugged a couple of times on the ball in the second half early, and it seemed to just rattle him a little bit, and you know, he was at such a high in the first half on adrenaline, and then I think it sort of just, he dipped quite quickly. But he gets a 7 out of 10 for me. You know, just that one real big costly mistake, really. You know, there was a few incidents in that, you know, in that second half where we were trying to play football out of the box, and you're going, fuck me, here we go. You know, sometimes I get this playing from the back stuff, but sometimes you have to just roll the ball back to your goalie or your centre back and let the fucker just put his foot through it. And we seem to have instructions or not the intelligence to do that at times, and we keep playing no matter how deep a hole we've dug ourselves. We keep trying to dig back out of it again, and it doesn't work. And against more on it polished sides due mid-season, you know, we're going to get hammered for it, so we've got to wake up now. But yeah, Ainsley was alright for me. Chambers, again, sort of similar comments. I thought him and Socrates first half were really solid. Didn't give him a ton of chances. And then he unravelled a little bit in the second half. There was just a couple of times, again, he was another one where he could have just shifted the ball and got rid of it. And he didn't, which I thought was odd. But, you know, it's like I said to my mate last night, you know, and he went, oh, that's a bit of a Mustafi-like mistake. And I said, it is a Mustafi-like mistake. And he went, well, yeah, but you hate Mustafi. I said, whoa, hang on. It's all love with Si. The big Don Si doesn't hate anyone. I strongly dislike certain people, but, you know, hate's a strong word. I don't hate Mustafi. He's just not good enough. That's not a reason to hate him. It's just a reason to not want to watch him play anymore. But, you know, he said, you know, Chambers, that's the same sort of mistake you hammer Mustafi for. And it's like, yeah, but Mustafi has been now at the club. He hasn't been on loan anywhere. He's been at the club for years. He is a World Cup winning senior pro. He should have been able to iron out those mistakes now. You know, Callum Chambers, he's just come back from Fulham, where he was playing in centre defensive midfield. He's had no experience with Unai Emery up until the last few weeks. So I'm much more likely to give him a bit of rope than I am Mustafi. So for me, the two things aren't the same. Although they're a similar mistake, I have the belief that Chambers can iron those out of his game. I know Mustafi hasn't, and he can't. He's incapable of it. So, you know, I will give Chambers way more rope than I will Mustafi. And unless he does it every week, which he doesn't. But if he does start doing that every week, and by Christmas, you know, he's played 20 games, and every one of those 20 games he's made a mistake, I'll hammer him the same as Mustafi. But until that happens, no chance. And like I say, I thought he was really solid. He made a couple of mistakes in the second half, but I quite like that partnership, him and Socrates. I think it's the best we've got at the minute. 6.5 out of 10. Socrates' partner, you know, I've said it now in a few of these pre-season games, he's going to be such a big player for us this year. Him and Chambers, in my opinion. Chambers more versatile-wise, and Socrates more as a mainstay. You know, we're running out of time to get a centre-back in this window, which, you know, if we don't get one, it's a massive oversight for me. And we are going to have to go, we score 6 if you score 5, you know. We're going to have to go full at it, all-out attack, aren't we? But, you know, this guy, he's just a leader. I'm so confused why he's not in the shake-up for being captain. You know, he's captain the Greece side. He just never seems to get mentioned, and he's just such an obvious leader for me. You always see him gesturing, you know, and having a word in the young lads' ears that, you know, partner him in the centre-back position or the wing-backs. I notice he does it a lot with Maitland-Niles, constantly sort of telling him, you know, you need to be here, you need to get out to that. So it blows my mind, but like I say, he's going to be a massive player for us this year. Excuse me, guys, whether you rate him that much or not, he is one you're going to have to get behind, because he will play pretty much every game, I think. Unless something miraculously happens where, you know, maybe he gets a ban or something, and, you know, Holding and Chambers play together and they look absolute dynamite, and he sticks with it, or we bring in somebody better than him in this window. If neither of those happen, he's our main man in defence. 1000% for me. And yeah, I thought he was a leader again last night, and I thought he was a big part of why we didn't get crushed by Barca. It gets a 7 out of 10 for me. The only reason why I didn't get a 7.5 is because he picked up another yellow, it's the way he plays. He's so combative. He is going to pick up a lot of yellows. I just wish at times, you know, it's only a friendly, so it doesn't really matter, but you've got to sort of start to limit. If you want to be seen as a main guy, you've got to make sure you're available to be on the pitch 98% of the time. And, you know, if he keeps racking a yellow card up every single game, that's not going to be the case, is it? But Yeah, I've been more than happy with him since we signed him. I think he's been a real steadier and something we really need, whether you appreciate it or not. Monreal, there's certain players in this squad now that I'm really struggling to give any ratings to or take any interest in whatsoever, and even be remotely fair. Just average. But he had a torrid time against Dembele. You know, if Dembele had been fully on it, or Messi, or somebody else, or if Griezmann had got up his arse on that side, we could have got trounced. He was just all over the place. He's just not got it in him anymore. Like I say, I know a lot of you guys rate him or have rated him. It's time to forget that now. He was one for me that had to go out the door this window, and it looks like we're going to lean on him again. And if we do, just expect a lot of trouble down that left-hand side. He gets a 5 for me. I can't rate him any higher than that. I really can't. And I think I'm being pretty fair giving him a 5. Willock. The boy Joe. Love him. Absolutely love him. You know, it's so nice to see how he's grown from last pre-season. Last pre-season, you guys, if you go back and watch my videos, I'm not going to bullshit you, I said, looks miles off it for me, and I wanted him out on loan somewhere to fill out, bulk up, learn the game, because you just no way on earth was he ever going to get in our first team, you know, how he looked last year. But fuck me, what a transformation in a year. You know, considering he hasn't gone out on loan, he's just... You know, he's improved just being in and around the squad. You know, I raised that point on one of my previous videos. You know, who's come out better, players that went away or the ones that stayed in and around the club. It's a really interesting, you know, thing to weigh up. You know, you could say there was value in both, really. And good job from the club that, you know, they did the right thing when you really look at it with a few of them. And yeah, he's just been really brilliant this pre-season, hasn't he? And, you know, going off form, fitness and involvement, you would say he's our number 1 midfielder at the moment. I don't see how you can say any other way. Yeah, he's our best mid at the minute. And I'd be very surprised if he's not in the starting lineup against Newcastle. I'd be very surprised. 7 out of 10. And I just can't wait to see more of him. And, you know, as I said, I hate to keep going back saying, you know, in a previous video, but I said, you know, if we can half Xhaka's minutes between Xhaka and Ceballos, and we can half Guendouzi's minutes between Guendouzi and Willock, we're on to a winner, I think, this year in midfield. Yep, 7 out of 10. Really enjoyed him this pre-season. Real. I think he's put a lot of smiles back on faces, definitely, and give us, you know, when things were looking a bit tough in the window and when maybe like we wouldn't do any business, he was giving, you know, him and Eddie were giving you a reason to go, oh, you know, we might not be too bad. Things might be a little better than last year, even if we bring nobody in. So thank you for that, Joe. Much appreciated, my mate. You know what time it is, guys. It's jacket time. He's like Monreal, just average, so one-dimensional. There was a point in the first, I think it was around about the 11th minute in the game. It's really sad that I've because I'm so against him now, I'm really making a conscious effort to watch him more than ever to see if I am just being overly harsh or he is just what I think he is. And he is just what I think he is. You know, I am going to end up smug over this one, not in a good way, but I don't understand what some of you are watching that still support him. I really don't. And yeah, in the first 10 minutes, let's say it was around the 11th minute, I think, the ball got knocked to him in the middle of the park and he had loads of time on. And I think it was Maitland-Niles had made a run on the far right-hand side, you know, a 20-30 yard pass. And it was on his right foot. And it was a good chance for a really open counter-attack. I think we had like 3-on-1, 3-on-2. And then what did he do? He just won't even trust swinging his right leg because he knows how shit it is. So he brought it back onto his left, and by the time he'd done that, the option had got closed, and then he just squared it. And that's a big thing I'm noticing that he's doing a lot more at the minute, that he's passing the buck a lot. I think he's someone that's aware that a lot of us really don't like him. You know, and I saw when Arsenal tweeted last night that Xhaka was captain, and I thought, I'm not going to comment on it, but I'll have a look at the thread, and fuck me. The tide really has turned, and you know, my ship's sort of full now because everyone's jumped on board it. You know, whether people were already on it before me, maybe. I've been on it a long time, pretty much since the day he turned up. So fair play if you've been on it since then. But yeah, he's passing the buck a lot. When he thinks he's going to get nabbed or under pressure, I noticed he did it to Maitland-Niles 3 or 4 times last night, where he played him into real pressure. Just a quick 4-yard pass to him, you know, it's on his toes, and he's like, well, you have it on your toes instead, and I fucking don't like that at all. I think that's real weak mentality. And, you know, people saying, again, with this captain shit, and, you know, he's got leadership qualities. Guys, I'm not disagreeing. I do believe he does have some leadership qualities, but my biggest issue with him is he doesn't have the ability to put that into practice. So it's like the silly little fouls he gives away. He believes, you know, Mustafi's mistakes are just brain farts, whereas with Xhaka, it's more overcommitment than anything. He's trying so hard to be the leader and rescue things that he fucks up. You know, and like the Brighton mistake, you know, it's like, right, you know, I'll be the man to stop him here. And rather than thinking about it and just going, well, let him take his chances on goal, he's already fouled him and it's a penalty. And then you're really lessening your chances of him stopping the goal, aren't you? Yeah, he's just so one-dimensional for me, and I just find him really painful to watch. And again, last night was another nail in his coffin for me, because you got to see pretty much all our other options of midfielders, and tell me who was worse than him last night. You know, and he's fit, he's in shape, there's no excuses for him, he's just not as good. And like I say, I'm going to have a horrible smug smile on my face this year, because he's going to get found out, and like I said, he'll start this season, and he'll start as captain. I don't particularly think captain means he'll play every game, but he'll definitely start the season, like Willock, I think, because he's been here all pre-season. But as soon as he drops the ball and Unai swaps him out for somebody, I don't see him getting back in the side. I really don't, unless one of those guys has an absolute shitter in his place. And then I would like to think that Unai would give one of the others a go. Just however we get this guy out of the side, honestly. Some of you guys, I know you hate me for it, my total dislike of him. But I honestly think it's a bit like the Wenger situation for me, where, you know, whether you're for or against, you know, and be careful what you wish for and that sort of thing. Well, what we wished for didn't turn out too bad, did it? And although some of you guys are Xhaka supporters, I think once he's gone and we put somebody decent in there, you'll go, fuck me, what was I watching? What was I thinking backing this guy? And I'm honestly so staunch in that belief now, I can't be shook off it, because my eyes don't deceive me. I've got 20/20 vision, and I see what I see. You know, and I've got 20/20 vision, and I see a 2 out of 10 when I look at him. No 20 in either eye. It's just not good. And like I say, I think he's our worst midfielder now, easily. I thought Guendouzi would take this year to emulate him. I don't now. I think he'll emulate him straight away as soon as he gets a chance this year. It's looking like Willock is going to be a more dynamic player than him and outperform him. Because he has been doing all pre-season. Neither of them had any excuses on that front, if you call it a straight head-to-head. Torreira, I don't see him ever being better than Torreira, no chance. And Torreira's too good defensively for Xhaka to take his spot. And Ceballos, I would much rather watch Ceballos, even though he's only here on a year's low, than Xhaka. Yeah, 5 out of 10, he's our worst midfielder. Stick it in your pipe and smoke it, that's all I can say, that's how I feel. Doesn't get much better again. Mickey, just average again. And I was watching it last night and taking out of my mind Borussia Dortmund Mkhitaryan and Europa League Man United Mkhitaryan, where he was really good, and watching him just Arsenal Mkhitaryan and going, what's his best quality? What is it he does well? What is it that he does so well he keeps getting picked? And all I can think is he's a senior pro. I'm really struggling to give him a pat on the back apart from that, and he's someone I don't really dislike. I think he's just a pointless player now. You know, maybe he goes in and he's our backup to Mesut in the middle, and we play the young lads out wide, but it's a similar sort of thing for me. You know, when he was out on the right, and Nelson was on the other side, I thought Nelson was better, and then when Saka and Martinelli came on, I thought they both offered way more. And I think he's another one that's going to get found out this year, and the more Unai plays him, I think the worse it'll get for him. Yeah, 5 out of 10. Maybe a 5.5 for Mickey. I'm probably being a bit too tough there, but I'm just really struggling with him. I just don't get it. Like I say, he's right in the Xhaka boat for me now. I just really don't see what he brings to the party. I don't. And he needs a massive upturn in form to win me back round, and consistently upturn in form, not just one game here and there. You know, Mesut, he needs to step up. He needs to step up, or he's not going to play 20 games this season in the Premier League. I really thought he was going to be on it this pre-season. A couple of his performances, and he was like, yes, here we go, prime Mesut again. Yes, this is what we want. You know, I think there's a lot of us that haven't let the Mesut Ozil ship sail yet, and would quite happily keep him here if he can find and recapture his best form. But he's not. And for me, you know, it's a big part of our midfield is catering for him. And it only works if we're catering for a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 Mesut Ozil. If we cater for a 4 to 6, 7 out of 10 Mesut Ozil, it's not going to work, and our midfield's going to get walked through. I've said that so many times in videos before. So it's step up or ship out for me with him. And again, he's the same. I think he's going to be under pressure for his spot if he doesn't perform. I do think there's a few of these guys that are on the last straw with Unai. I really do. But you know, with Mesut, I've not given up hope, and I think there's still a Don in there. He just, you know, someone needs to, I don't know, he needs to find that magic again, because it's missing. 6 out of 10. Nelson, he's a tricky one to weigh up, isn't he, guys? He's not the finished article, you can see that, but he's going to come good at some point. I was telling you guys, you know, when you were ripping him the other game, and I'm sure probably some people were having a dig last night again. He's just steadily building. He's just going up in little increments in form at the minute and getting his feet under the table. And like I said with Chambers, give him a bit more time, because he's had no experience with Unai, whereas some of the others have had over a year now. You know, and he's come from an injury when he was at Hoffenheim, and he had decent form there. So let's just give him a little bit of time. Because I tell you what, if we do give him a little bit of time, he'll turn up chumps for us. I have no doubt about that in my mind. He's definitely got the requisite quality to be a really good winger. I'm not going to say world class yet, but he could definitely be better than Iwobi and Mkhitaryan out there, definitely, and a little bit better than that as well. He gets a 6.5 out of 10 for me from last night. Last but not least, Aubameyang. 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 We love him, don't we, guys? And I've said in every one of these videos, he's playing like a dog that someone's rolled a newspaper up, slammed it up its arse and set it on fire. He's playing like a man possessed for me. And he was massively on it again last night. He looks really fit. You know, guys, if you've been watching regularly, I said a few times last season, I just couldn't really see his pace or his energy and his athletic ability. I really see it. I saw it towards the end of last season. You know, somebody mentioned about this nasal thing he had. Maybe that was a bigger part of it than a lot of us realised. But since he's been over that, towards the end of last season and the start of this pre-season, he looks so on it. And it's another one where it makes me look at the other players around him and go, you know, this guy, look, this is what you should be doing. You know, you should have the requisite quality and you should be putting it fucking in. And he's one of the only senior pros for me. You know, I felt like that game was like that again last night. Youth players won, senior pros nil, like most of the pre-season. And the only senior pros for me that have been doing it for me are Leno, Socrates, Lakaroba. It's really sad and depressing, but that's exactly how I see it. The rest of them need to ship out for me or really fucking buck their ideas up. But yeah, he was super on it again, Oba, last night, and what a lovely little goal. You know, just that smoothness of that touch, just to let it roll out of his body and turn on it. You know, ghosted the defender, and then what a calm side foot curling finish, just left the keeper no chance, just stunning goal. Yeah, he was possibly my man of the match last night. I give him a 7.5 out of 10. You know, maybe that's a little bit harsh, maybe he deserves an 8. I'm going to stick with what I originally wrote down, 7.5 out of 10. And yeah, big season incoming, and if he keeps this up, I don't see how he doesn't go over 30 goals again. Really don't. Yeah, so that was the guys that started. Let's have a look at what came on. There was two changes at half time. Guendouzi on for Nelson and Kolasinac on for Nacho. And this is where the game massively changed for me. And I thought it was a real big mistake from Unai. And you guys know I've got a lot of faith in him, but I really questioned some of his decisions last night. because he, as much as I wanted Guendouzi on, I couldn't understand bringing him on for Nelson, because of the shape of the team then, and then it sort of, you know, you saw it settle down, and we went from Willock and Xhaka at the base of midfield with Ozil just in front and Nelson and Mickey out on the wings to Gwendo and Xhaka sat deep with Willock just in front of him and Ozil and Mickey out on the wings, and it sort of went from an 8 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10 for me. Fuck me, we just can't watch Ozil and Mickey play out wide anymore for me. It just doesn't work. And watching those two, I honestly think when Oba realised what had happened with the formation, he just went, fucking hell, like, I'm in the mood, boys. I want some fucking balls whipped across the box, you know. I'm ready to bag some goals. You know, I'm a serious gunman, you know, and I'm being supplied with 2 fucking dribbly water pistols either side. Yeah, and I thought that substitution changed the game entirely, where we looked, you know, we looked like the underdog, don't get me wrong. Although I thought we were decent first half, we looked like the lesser side, you know, which is to be expected. But as soon as they substitute, for me, we then all of a sudden went to totally under the cosh, couldn't really get the ball, couldn't really get out of fucking defence. It totally spun on its head for me on this substitution. You know, and I think he could have whipped, you know, Mesut off, or, you know, he needed to keep the shape that he did, and he didn't, and it didn't fucking work for me at all. But, you know, Gwendo came on, and like I say, what a breath of fresh air compared to watching Xhaka, and, you know, he sprayed a 60-yard ball, you know, within the first 5-10 minutes he was on, and that's more than Xhaka did in fucking 65 minutes. And I just don't see how he doesn't emulate him this year, I really don't. Yeah, and I just like the swagger about the kid. Like, he's got a real... I'm not a big fan of cocky people, but he's got that right amount of it where it's not smug cocky. It's just like, yeah, boy, stick it to him. I love it. You know, that picture sliding down the banister and shit. And just the way he's like, so he's like a banter. I think he's a future, nailed-on future captain and a future worldie. I really do. It's just a shame he hasn't got a bit more top-end pace, but that's being really picky. And he was just so good at sitting deep. Like I say, he's really good at what I expect Xhaka to be able to do. And Guendouzi came on and he does exactly what Xhaka does and more, and then he's mobile. It's a no-brainer. 50-50 choice out of those two for me. And I thought he was electric when he came on. I thought he was really fucking good. You know, and the idea of him and Willock, or him and Ceballos, or Ceballos and Willock just sat, you know, as a two just in front of Torreira gives me a sticky tear, guys, on the old tip. I'm not gonna lie, you know, it puts an incredibly large cucumber-shaped object into my trouser area. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just think he's in for a massive season, and I do think it'll help us if we do half his minutes with Willock. I really do, because he ran out of puff at the end of last year. He's been away again and had a short pre-season this year, so I think that's the best way to go, is to, like I say, split Xhaka's minutes between Xhaka and Ceballos, and split Guendouzi's minutes in half with Willock, and let's just see them all progress as one. But yeah, 7 out of 10 easily for me, probably a 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed him. And like I say, for the midfield got for the better, but the team suffered as a consequence of Nelson going off. Kolasinac came on for Nacho, just average, just he is what he is, isn't he, guys? I'm not even really going to talk about him because he just sort of drifted through the game for me. 6 out of 10. Yeah, 6 out of 10. Next one, 71st minute. Well, we had sort of 3 subs: 71st minute, 72nd minute, 73rd minute. Saka came on for Mickey, Ceballos came on for Willock, and Martinelli came on for Ozil. And then that was for me when it turned again, and we looked like we were back in a bit of control, because in between that time of half time and up till that time in the match, we were so under the cosh, we just had no outlet at all. You know, and like I say, you guys tell me Xhaka's this guy that progresses our play. Well, where was he in those 20 minutes last night? Hiding, because that's the sort of guy he is, that's the sort of player he is. He was nowhere to be seen, and like I say, you go back and watch it, look how many little 4-yard passes he does, and plays somebody else into real pressure, and makes them just play it away. And I think that's a big part of why his stats convince people that he's good, and people that don't go off what their eyes see and go off what, you know, computers, you know, and people put together stats wise. It's fucking mind blowing. So they were the subs we had, and like I say, we went back then to shape and we went back to genuine pacey wingers, and no shock to me, as soon as we went back to that, we started creating chances again. You know, and they were throwing everything at it, being down at that point. And like I say, it was opening up for us going the other way, and I thought that's maybe how we'll play sometimes this season, but it ain't going to work with Ozil and Mkhitaryan out wide. They're just not quick enough to do the damage fast enough. You watch how when we concede goals, it happens within 5 seconds from one end to the other. You know, maybe 10 at a push. You know, and again, on the Xhaka thing, there was a couple of times last night when they're on that counter-attack, just watch him. He's treading water. He cannot keep up if he gets involved in our attacking play, and vice versa. If he's sat deep defending, he can't get involved. I just don't want to get stuck on him. Honestly, I'm nearly at tears with the guy. He just pushes me over the point. But yeah, they were sort of sub 71st, 72nd, 73rd minute. Saka, just so young, and he still looks a bit lightweight to me, but so eager to impress, and he looks really, really talented for me. I think it's a bit early for him this season. He's the one out of all the kids that I see going on loan or going back in the youth setup. You know, he's only 17. There's plenty of time on this kid's side, and I don't want to rush him because I do think there's quite a special player in there. And yeah, and he was good. Showed little glimpses. Like I say, he just was trying to impress that little bit too much, and it didn't quite come off for him. But you know, there's a player in here. There's a real good player in here, and he's someone I really hope we can progress this year, keeping and around the club, big time. And I see a massive future for him. 6.5 out of 10. Ceballos looked really lively again. He's like I say, he's everything you guys think Xhaka is, and everything I want Xhaka to be. You know, he does what he does better. You know, when it comes to distribution. Then I watched him. There was a little bit where there was a couple of players on him, and he shuffled the ball. Just a quick dink and a shimmy in between the two, and then he played the ball with his right foot. And I thought that's something I've not seen Xhaka capable of doing in 3 years. And like I say, it just proves to me how much we're missing dynamic midfielders, and why we can't get near the top of the table. It's so glaringly obvious to me. It amazes me that I'm still arguing with people over it, but there you go. You know, the world's about opinions, and it'd be a boring place if we all had the same one. But yeah, he picked up. That was a nasty tackle. You know, when I saw him down on the floor, and he was holding his face, I thought, what? How's he injured his face? And then, you know, when I realised that was him grimacing because he looked like he'd rolled his ankle a little bit, I started to panic. It doesn't look good. It looks like he's going to be out for a few weeks, and that really sort of kiboshes my project, get Xhaka out the first 11 as fast as possible. But you know, that's being really selfish. I just hope he can get, you know, it's not too bad, he can get back to full fitness, and he's going to be a massive part of our squad this year. I think he's going to be close to our most important midfielder this year. I think he's going to be the senior, possibly, that you know, if Torreira's not available, Xhaka maybe, you know, he leans on him, and with Guendouzi and Willock, quite possibly, who knows. But I think he's going to be a key player this year, and I think the more and more I watch him play, the more and more I think this was a good deal. Because you guys know I wasn't too convinced at first, but 6.5 out of 10. Just a shame with the injury, and I hope he's all right, and he comes back fit as quick as possible. Martinelli. Him and Ollie Inca are becoming my with Johnny John Boy Jules, Tyrese John Jules. So I say it's tough picking a favourite of these kids, but this lad's, you know, he's doing everything he can to win his way into hearts. Fuck me, I love watching him play. He screams, like I said it the other day, like he screams a Sanchez replacement for me, because he's, like I said, he's just as likely to win the ball in our box as he is to whip a ball into their box and get an assist. And he was someone that I didn't have any designs on being anywhere near the first team this year. I think he definitely is going to be. I'd be very surprised if he drops him out of the first team squad, because I think he'll be in between him and Nelson. I think they could be really good impact subs if he does go with Iwobi, Mkhitaryan, Pepe, starting wingers, or, you know, Oba, Iwobi, Pep, Mickey. And then I think he will give these lads, you know, if they impress, a chance to sort of replace Iwobi and Mickey on the wings. Who knows? But yeah, could be a future worldie for me, this kid. He, just on the way he goes about the game, I think he's got the world at his feet. He's way more than I expected we were getting. And I had watched quite a bit of him. But there's a big difference between Brazilian 4th division and you know, the opposition we've played up, you know, and you could say, well, it's not been these teams' best lineups, and you know, they're not taking it fully serious. It doesn't matter. You've still got to turn up and do your bit, or you'll get overshadowed. And he hasn't. 7 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed him again last night. And then we sort of had some late subs, 86th minute. Too late for me to care, but you know, woohoo! Torreira came on for Xhaka. Eddie came on for Oba, Mustafi came on for Socrates. I'm not going to rate these guys because they were on for sort of 7-8 minutes. It's not enough. The one thing I will say is it's very strange that 2 games in a row, when Mustafi's come on, shit's gone down. You know, and we've sort of at the back gone downhill faster than Alberto Tomba. Proper 90s reference for some of you there. If you get that one, fair play, you old fucks. You're obviously as old as me, farting dust just like I am. But yeah, it's not coincidence, is it, guys? It happens too often for me to be coincidence that as soon as he comes on, it all just goes shit-shaped at the back. The organisation goes out the window. And I thought it was really odd from Unai. It was the other thing that I picked up on that I was really confused by his decisions, is that we looked ropey for a while. We couldn't get it out. We were trying to play it even in our own area. We were trying, you know, we were knocking little passes and trying to get a little 1-2 going there and triangles, and it was crazy. And like I say, Ainsley had a wobble and Callum had a wobble, and when you've already got 2 players wobbling, and you know, on the other side you've got either Nacho or Kolasinac who can't be depended on. The scariest thing to go and do for me is a game you're hanging on in, is to get rid of your one solid leader. You know, maybe you just looked at it, just give him a run out, but I can't understand it for 4 minutes, because this is somebody who, you know, a lot of you still rate Ornstein. You know, I've said I don't believe a word he fucking says anymore. I don't think he's got any clout at the club whatsoever, but you know, it's common knowledge from everybody that nobody wants this guy at the club. So what are you still giving him minutes for? I can't get my head around this situation. And it's not something I'm going to talk about now, because I'm going to do it in another video, talking about everything that's going on at the club. But something's got to give in this situation over the next 4 days, or I really fear for us. You know, if we start the season with just Socrates, Chambers, and Mustafi, we're going to need Socrates and Chambers to pull out 7 or 8 out of 10s every week, not pick up any bookings and stay fit for as long as holding, you know, probably around Christmas time when he's good to go. Maybe a bit sooner, but it's not going to be in the first month of the season, maybe 2. And I don't want to see. I think he's, like I said the other day, I think he's just so past the point now for so many people. I don't see any way that he gets back in the fold. I don't think people will ever get off his back. It's a shame, but it is what it is. And like I say, I don't hate him. He's just not good enough for Arsenal. And you know, if you come and fuck with something I love, I'm going to get a bit nasty about it. And for me, he is somebody a lot like Xhaka. You know, you're taking the piss out of something I care massively about, and it riles me. It rattles me. You know, I'm not going to lie about it. But yeah, that was it, guys. You know, and I just take the same things from this game. Like I say, second half, he killed the threat for me. Like I say, with that Guendouzi sub at half time, and then as soon as we went back to 2 genuine wingers, we sort of went 8 out of 10 first half, down at 4 out of 10 when we went to Mickey and also like wide, and then as soon as it went back to Martinelli and Saka, it went back to an 8 again. But yeah, like I say, I don't question him a lot, but I really am starting to question Unai now. I'm just confused by him. And I don't think that's going to get any better for me over the first few months of the season, because again, I think he's going to be forced to play players he might not want to, but he's got no choice. You know, like I say, it seems common knowledge that he said he wants rid of Mustafi, but you know, can we get rid of him when we've only got 2 fit centre-backs in Chambers and Socrates? No is the answer, as much as I don't, and you know, that makes me want to rip my larynx out for saying it or whatever, but fuck me, we're going to have to soldier on with him if that's the only options, you know. It's just that, it is what it is. But you know, it's the same stuff for me, guys, in any game that I'm going to watch this year, which is, I said it before pre-season and before the window opened, there was 4 players that had to go for me, and the 4 massive weak senior pros, which was Mickey, so a winger, Xhaka in midfield, so a box-to-box midfielder that could tackle, a centre-back, like I say with Mustafi, and then a left back in Nacho for me. They were the 4 players that had to leave for me and be replaced by real quality. Now you can say Saliba's come in, you know, but that doesn't help us this year. But for next year, that's definitely an improvement. Ceballos this year is a massive improvement for me on Xhaka, but you know, it is only a 1-year loan. Pepe, that's obviously a huge upgrade on Mickey, and then we've had nothing at left back yet. So while those same issues still remain, and he still has to lean on these guys, 1, I can't properly judge Unai Emery, and 2, I'm not going to like what I watch. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to get pissed off. My piss is going to boil watching Arsenal games again this year. I just hope that everyone gets fit and up to form and up to scratch and up to speed as fast as possible, and he's got an entire squad to choose from, and then I want to see what he does, because I've got an 11 in mind, like I'm sure a lot of you have, which is probably, you know, a left back and a new one, a new centre back next to Socrates, Bellerin at right back, and then I would have Torreira at the base in midfield and 2 just in front, which would be Ceballos and Guendouzi. Or Ceballos and Ozil, or Guendouzi and Willock, any mix of those. I quite would like to see Iwobi have a goal there as well, and then Oberlack and Pepe up front, and that's the only way I see we can go this year as our strongest lineup. And it's like I say, it's going to be really interesting to see what he does and who he picks and who he doesn't, and who he leans on and who he doesn't. And like I say, it's like we've got to get behind the side now, because it is what it is. And you know, you're either right or you're wrong, and you get on board or you don't, and that's how I am at the moment. I'm going to get on board with it. I'm not going to nag on about it every week and cuss it and rip it to shreds. And then I'll see once we've got a full squad. And then if he continues to lean on these same players, I'm going to start saying he's not the right guy. He's not the right guy. You know, and it's a very similar to this sort of window. I didn't want to really talk about the window too much, so I'm going to do it in another video. But how happy can you be with this window if we don't identify a centre-back for this season? I was having a long old think about it last night, and I thought, that's really shoddy. That's really going out on a limb by the powers that be, whether you say it's Unai, Raul, Vinay, you know, any of those guys, whoever you want to blame. You know, you can't really class they're doing that yet until next year. It's got to get sorted. And I think they're sort of cutting their own throats and putting their own heads on chopping blocks. You know, I'm sure most of them aren't going anywhere because they're new to the setup, but I think it's a very dangerous game they're playing, because if we go for all-out attack, not bringing in any more defensive reinforcements, and we go with what we've got, and it doesn't quite work and it doesn't quite gel, and we start getting beat 4-1, 4-2 every week, it's not going to be long before there's Emery out, and it'll be Cronker out, and it'll be all back to that, and all these faux protests and all the rest of it will be probably back in full swing when people are looking for more follow numbers. But that's it, guys. I'm going to get away from that stuff, because like I said, I'm talking about it in another video, because I think there's some really interesting things to look over. So that's it on my match analysis, guys. I hope you enjoyed the game, because I really did enjoy it. Like I say, apart from the Mustafi stuff and Xhaka and Mkhitaryan, everything else I really enjoyed again, and I've not been really looking at the end score of these games. I've just been taking pleasure from the things that have been giving me pleasure. Before one of you says it, and that's not the fucking Hoover. But you know, Willock, I've just been concentrating on enjoying him, watching him flourish. Eddie, Reece, Martinelli, Gwendo coming back. Chambers at centre back and right back has been a big positive for me. Martinez in goal. You know, there's plenty of reasons to be positive, so let's not get bogged down. And like I say, I'm going to save my, you know, reserve my judgment for quite a while. You know, although I'm quite outspoken with how I feel at the minute, I'm not going to go on a full-out lambasting, because it just won't suit anybody at this moment. And I don't need to be that stressed. I've got enough stress in my life at the minute. So right, that's it, guys. Waffling. Last 5 minutes have been pure waffle, so I'm off. Take it easy. And like I say, I'll try and get these other 2 videos up for you by tomorrow night if possible. Sai signing out. Nicholas Bebe, baby. He stole my signing out thing. Bebe, baby. Oh, I can't wait to watch this kid play football for us. It's so good. Oh. That front three. Honestly, if you're feeling a little bit depressed for a couple of minutes like I was at about Xhaka last night, I just kept looking to myself and going, how is this fucker getting picked again, man? Like, how is he... From like the 50th minute on, I'm going, sub him out, it's so obvious. Just get Torreira on or Ceballos instead of him, and let's see that trio. Let's see a trio that doesn't involve Mesut or Xhaka. And it didn't come. And then when I was gonna, you know, punch the dog and drink a pint of gin to get over the depression, I just looked at my screensaver and I just thought, oh, black and Pepe, baby. Oh, black and Pepe. That rivals anybody's front three this year. It's going to be so fucking good. So yeah, guys, if in doubt, I can't think of a line that rhymes with that. Leave that one with me, I'll come up with something. No, I can't go. Right, I'm going. I can't think of anything. Signing out. Take it easy, guys. Have a lovely evening.